If you believe it, you can make it happen.
I love it.
Can we add that?
Welcome to Alt Investing Made Easy, where we explore the complex world of alternative assets. I'm Roland, a securities attorney, investment advisor, and your co-host.
And I'm Sarah, an investment advisor and corporate attorney, and your other co-host. We'll guide you through real estate, private equity, and more, making complex topics accessible.
Tune in for insights that empower your financial journey.
Let's make alt investing easy, one episode at a time. Welcome everyone to Alt Investing Made Easy. Today we have with us a new friend, Jim Skaggs, that we met through another friend, Carl Melmhen. Jim has a long career leading and growing companies and in different industries, and today he will share his experiences as we discuss leadership, being entrepreneurial, and one of his current projects, which is a music tech company that has developed and manufactured cutting-edge earbuds here in the greater Austin area. The company is called Sound Curves. By the end of this episode, you will learn about leadership from a very experienced business leader and know more about the current private equity investment opportunity he is making available. So welcome, Jim.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Jim, it's great getting to know you. We had lunch last week with Carl, and I think the thing that fascinated me the most about you, and probably you get this all the time, but you were actually the youngest engineer on the Apollo space program. Isn't that right?
I was the youngest, not engineer. I was the youngest person in the United States government at that level of responsibility.
Well, it's incredible.
Not just NASA certainly, but the total government.
And just in terms of your experience there, you told us about some very important lessons that you learned when working for the Apollo space program.
Yes. I always, kind of bring it down to two major items. One is nothing is impossible. Mm-hmm. Number two, if you believe it, you can make it happen. And that has been a foundation of my life ever since Apollo, which ended in about 1970, late 70, and it went back into industry. But Apollo, combined with my first 5 years at Boeing, under a genius mentor, probably the best mentor a person can have. And my view today is that's one of the missing elements in a lot of situations is there's not good mentors. But I had a wonderful mentor at Boeing, and it was his performance, which was outstanding in Boeing, that attracted General Sam Phillips, who headed Apollo, to bring him on board NASA as the head of Apollo program control. Mm. And when he accepted that, he came to me and said, "Jim, will you come with me to NASA and be part of Apollo program control?" And I said, yes. And I had no plans or ideas other than that. And then, unfortunately, or fortunately for me, in 2 years, his name was Gerald Kubat. In 2 years, Gerald decided to go back to Boeing because he didn't want to kind of destroy his career with the Boeing company. And when he did that, General Phillips, who the 5 directors reported to, General Phillips came to me and said, "Jim, will you take his place?" And so at age 29, as I said, I turned out to be the youngest in NASA and the United States government at that level of responsibility.
That's it was really wonderful to have time to just chat through some of what you've experienced and your views on things, Jim. But today I think we're going to focus a little bit more and talk about some of the other things that you've done from this amazing base to start from. And what we'd really like to hear about are several things, but in addition, we're going to talk about a company that you're an investor in and that you are really excited to share with us today. So just to start off, I think we were going to talk a little bit about leadership and what you've learned about leadership in your career. Roland, what do you think? Should we talk a little bit more about the other things that Jim has done first, and then talk about leadership? Or
Well, the two main topics, Jim, that we kind of were given by Carl were leadership and entrepreneurship, and leadership I think is clear for you, and we want to hear more about that. But I think the other thing that I really like about your story is that you have maintained an entrepreneurial attitude throughout your career, and even now, you're working on something that is more, it's a passion project for you. So I think that's really either direction you want to go in, talking about leadership or entrepreneurship. I think either one.
Let's talk about both of them because they tie together. I in my middle career, if you will, with the last company that I took over and took from disaster into success, I was awarded the Central Texas Entrepreneur, the Central Texas Entrepreneur of the Year award. And it was kind of a new thing because typically they award based on startup companies. And this was a turnaround situation, which in hindsight, there's not much difference in the approach and needs for starting it up or turning it around. And so I was awarded that, one of five people to be awarded the Central Texas, which included Austin and San Antonio and the surrounding area. So that kind of relates entrepreneur to leadership. And the things I learned in Boeing under a terrific mentor, and he taught me things. For example, one of the most important things that he taught me was, Jim, make decisions. If you make decisions, you go nowhere. Even if it's quite off vector a little bit, you can correct it, but make decisions and keep going forward. And that to me was a great lesson, because so many people today get all hung up on fear of making decisions. And in the task that I stepped into to fix broken companies, that was more important than ever, because they were in deep trouble. They were headed for the cliff to go off into bankruptcy and dissolution and so forth. And so you didn't have time to really come out with a perfect solution. You had to make quick decisions, move rapidly, and go forward. Now, the company that I last did here in Austin, named Tracor, went from falling off the cliff into bankruptcy. In fact, most of its board members who interviewed me felt that it was impossible to solve the problem. And that's kind of another point to make, is I said earlier, is nothing is impossible. And I'll come back to that. But the point being is that the Tracor situation, we turned it around in 2 years. We took it from $750 million in sales when I got there to $250 million. We drained the swamp, and we started we got rid of all the things they shouldn't be doing and started focusing on the things they should be doing. And those all took rapid decisions, and we became the fastest growing defense company in the nation for the next 5 years. And that was pretty remarkable, to turn a company around that is going for bankruptcy into the fastest growing defense company in the nation. We also received an award, which, right here, this was Fortune magazine fastest growing company in America. It's the 100 fastest growing. So not only were we the fastest growing defense company, we were one of the 100 fastest growing companies in the nation. And that's rare. So I think it's just representative of the kinds of things in that company and the ones before that, that you had to provide strong leadership. And key item, anything complex takes a team. And I think that gets ignored today. Too many leaders think they are the boss, and they are talkers and not listeners. And a leader has to be a listener. And yes, you have to make decisions and you have to bring facts together, but you have to listen. And that, I think, is ignored by many people because the boss gets so arrogant that they think they know everything, and their job is to tell you what to do. And that is totally wrong. I was never in a position where I had to tell my people what to do. I established a foundation of principles. For example, when you form a team, I establish the foundation. I bring them together and say, hey, look, I don't care if you folks ever like each other, you socialize together, or what. But when you're in this team, in this company, you will perform with these ground rules. You will respect each of your roles. They're all important. We must have them. And you respect those roles and never perform actions which would criticize, if you will, the actions of your teammates. So those teams, that my very first team in running a company after NASA was a beginning software company. And it was in the beginning phases of software, computer systems, and it was a company been going downhill for 9 years. And we turned it around in the first few months and started it growing. It became one of the most effective and successful software companies in the early industry of software. I had 4,000 programmers, for example. Now, I was the chief operating officer in my beginning role. I later became president. But in fact, some of the team there said, well, Jim's the doer and his chairman is the thinker. Were our two roles. He was the guy that ran all of NASA's Apollo, Gemini, Mercury, all manned vehicles, the future of the shuttle and so forth. And he came to me one Sunday in Washington, D.C. and said, I'd like to have lunch with you. And I had never had a private conversation with him in NASA, had been in many meetings in the same room where we had discussion, but never had a private conversation with him. And I thought he was coming to pick my brain on what NASA's futures were doing, because I worked for Werner von Braun that last year. He was head of NASA planning, came up from Huntsville. Well, anyway, that process, I just don't want to be too far off center with you, but well,
no, it's good.
Yeah. It's so interesting to hear you speak.
It has served me well. That first company was again a great learning curve, because it was the first time I had run a company. And interestingly enough, different than a lot of people, after leaving NASA, I never operated except at the top level of a company in all companies that I worked in. I was in Tracor, that last one here in Austin, I was the chairman, the CEO, and the president of that company that achieved all those really important goals.
Well, it's great to have that perspective, Jim, because
eventually in 98, we sold it in mid-98 for $1.4 billion.
Wow.
When I joined it, it was almost worth nothing.
Yeah.
Well, anybody that's been around Austin for a while would recognize the Tracor name. It's one of those early technology companies that really put Austin on the map, and so it's really impressive for us to hear about your experience. And the other thing that I like what you said, Jim, is this idea about leadership and listening. And I think so many people. I certainly had a wrong impression about what leadership was about. I imagined this, chiseled jaw, blue-eyed, handsome, general giving orders to people and everybody just doing what he says. But what you said is that what makes a great leader is their ability to listen. I really like that a lot.
Yeah, it's something you learn, and but it is critical. To leading the team and respecting their roles. I had a person that worked for me for a while, going way back to the 70s, who I asked one day, I said, well, how do you judge people that you want to work for you? He says, I want them to take directions from me, to never question me, to do what I say, and that's it. And so there was that side of the fence with people. And so I had him, and he was a very good individual performer. So I had him in an individual performing job as opposed to one that was running people. Because he was.
That's another skill of a leader, right?
He was not good for that. Yeah. He was a good friend, by the way, for a long time. And
well, we all have our different skill sets. So, Sarah, what do you think? Let's go into talking about the current company.
Well, and I wanted to make a connection here, Jim, which I hadn't made the connection before. But here you've been around the Austin area for many years. You turned around this kind of iconic early tech company in Austin, and now, Austin, you have another project that I just called it music tech just because I thought it kind of worked. I don't know if that's really a thing. I figured we have fintech, we have farm tech, we have all the other kinds of tech, so why not music tech? But in any event, you have been, I think, investing in and assisting in the leadership of a company called Sound Curves, based here in Austin, and interestingly also manufacturing here in the Austin area. And so we'd love to hear more about it because it sounds, you brought them. Awesome.
Oh, that's cool.
Can't wait to get my own.
This is the current container that person purchases with Sound Curves. And it looks like these two earbuds, which in the picture, it always surprises me. It looks like they're huge, but they're really tiny.
Yeah.
It goes inside your ear. And it is really a step forward in a sort of a new concept in a sense, because today we have lower level, low priced, not very high quality products. And that gets up into a range of $300 to $500. And those are not bad, but they're not great. And then you have at the top level, you have earphones that are $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, $6,000. The top ones being made for individuals. You take the measurement of their ear and you made exactly the same size as their ear and so forth. Well, when we started, we said we want to aim at the middle of the market. We want to have quality which is equal or better than those that are $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. And we want to be at a price that it's able for the $300 to $500 folks to step up and get a far better product. And so we're talking about $799 our earphones. And it's a little bit like a lesson I learned from our restaurant that I was the founder of in Austin, which is the fastest growing restaurant chain in Austin for the last, since 2009. And that is that we set the goal to be in the middle of the market between the garbage at the bottom and the high-priced, high-quality restaurants at the top. And so we hit the middle and have a very affordable restaurant. The quality of the food and so forth is equal to that at the high level, and certainly a lot better than the garbage at the bottom, the fast food restaurants and so forth. And there are very few, really, restaurants like that. And we find that when we open up in an area that we're the only real competition in the area.
So just to quickly frame things, just for our audience, so that we make sure they're with them. This company, Sound Curves, is one that you have taken through these early stages. You now have a product that's ready to go.
Yep.
And are you looking for investment for it, Jim?
Yes, we are. I did investing for a long time. And I think we're now at the phase where we would like to add some outside investors,
right,
and move into full production. In fact, not too far from here, up in just north of, up in Georgetown, actually, we just started in the last couple of weeks the production line.
Oh, wow!
And that production line is producing these units.
Okay.
And so we're going to be going to the market in the near future. So we're at a very important phase of our business, and a very exciting phase to have made in America. There, by the way, all of the competition in this business are not made in America. They're all made in China and other places.
Right.
So we decided that made in America was important, and it turns out that the political world has switched our whole focus to being made in America. So we're on track with what's going on nationwide in the political world. It's important to make in America. So we're doing that, and not too far from here. In fact, I have a meeting after our session here with a lady that's part of the staff there.
Oh,
So the investment that you're seeking, it'll allow you to maybe expand manufacturing capacity or engage in more marketing?
Yes. We have marketing is the most expensive single line item in any product like this. And so we need additional levels of marketing, which we haven't had really any levels of marketing. And we need to add a little staff, although not extensive. We need to add some staff as we get into, we're talking about getting up to, in the next couple of years, up to 10,000 units in a year at let's just round it up, $800 at 10,000 units. So that's our forward projection. And it can provide a really good return, assuming that it is accepted as we expect it to be in the market. Have a good return, and an investor can get, I would expect, several times their investment.
Well, the whole reason why we created this podcast, Jim, is to help our law firm clients sell their investment deals. And while you're not a client, we've gotten to know you. We really like you a lot. And so we want to help you sell this investment opportunity. And so we will make sure that in the show notes for this, when we put it up on YouTube, people can get in touch with Sound Curves, get in touch with you, with your investment relations people, so that if they're interested in investing, they'll be able to know where to go.
I would love to do that. And it's, as I said, I've been investing 100% to date.
right.
So obviously I believe in it very quickly. But it's going into a level where we need some funds a little above where I want to get into.
Yeah.
So anyway, that I appreciate your help. That would be really terrific.
Yeah. Do you have any idea of sort of an amount of money you're trying to raise, and what
Yes.
what you would be looking for in equity partners?
Yes, we would initially we think $3 million,
Mm.
and we're thinking of 200,000 per percent,
Okay.
and we want to sell 15% of the company at that. We call it the B round.
Right.
Okay.
So that's roughly what we're aiming at.
That makes a lot of sense, and that's achievable. It's not a huge lift, but
No.
really will help you get up to that next stage.
Well, I think the important thing, Roland, is that we're not a beginning company creating an idea. This is finished. The technology is proven. You should see the look on people's faces when they put our earphone in their ears, and their eyes light up. And one lady said something that this is some time ago, but early on she was testing one of our early units, and we said, "Well, what do you think of the sound?" And she stared at us a second, and she said, "Well, it's not the sound, it's the feeling. I feel like I'm in the middle of an orchestra, and I hear every single thing."
Wow.
And we've heard those kind of comments. We had a professional drummer that tried our unit, and he had some old earphones he had been wearing for, I think, 10 years. And he took his earphones out and put ours on, and he lit up, and he says, "Oh my gosh, these are big. These are better than mine." And
That's
so
cool.
it's that kind of reaction we've had. Yeah. And we've done a few situations where we stopped somebody on the street and put the earphones in and turn it on, and you see that reaction.
Oh, cool.
That really. So we think it's going to be a very successful product.
Well, I think either you or Carl told us each earbud has 5 speakers in it.
5 speakers. Yes, it's a 5-speaker system, and in fact, we have another our engineer that was the major designer of this has also on the sideline designed a one driver. So we're not focusing on that at all. We're getting this to market and so forth, but we already have designed a one driver that in the future we will introduce a lower priced one.
Oh,
and
wow.
you're talking about less than $100.
Yeah.
And it's got very good quality, certainly not as much as this, but very good quality. Here's the what's
Tiny. Look at that.
what's in the box.
Those are sexy.
And I just wrapped this up last night because the wires were in a container, so I just put the wires around here. But these little plugs right here,
That's amazing.
Yeah.
and when you put that in your ear, it just kind of disappears into your ear. And we've designed these from the beginning with the knowledge that your ear channel goes up inside.
Right.
It doesn't go straight like most things stick in there. And it goes up. So our plug is turned up. It goes up into the ear. It fits very comfortably, and it blocks out other sound very comfortably. So it has a lot of capabilities that most earphones don't.
Yeah. Listen, Carl, I'm sorry, pardon me, Jim. I just want to step back for a minute and note that even in this short time that we've had to talk with you today, we've had the opportunity to hear your entrepreneurialism in action, because you've led other companies. You mentioned your restaurant. we are here today to talk about sound curves, and of course, on a technical product like that, it's so cool that you're actually showing it to us, because that brings it down to the ground, doesn't it? Like, this is a real product here that's been designed and ready to go.
Well, I hate to add something else to you, but for 10 years I was the chairman and CEO of a drug development company for cancer cure.
Right.
And I stepped down for some other corporate things I was doing at the time, and totally focused on that for 10 years. Not today, but
I think we're going to have another conversation when you're ready to discuss that one with I think some of the leadership from that company.
It's just this point being is it's the same situation. It's nothing's impossible.
Yeah.
You believe it, you can make it happen.
This is so interesting. It sounds like you're a very curious person also, because you've got all these varied interests. And I just wanted to make one note that I think is really interesting about Sound Curves is that it's, kind of created here in Austin, produced in the greater Austin area. Austin is the live music capital of the world. It's also a global tech hub and becoming more so by the day, it seems. So you've also managed in your many years of experience here to bring together all these themes in this one company, really, and product. And so it could become something that, is known to be from Austin as well, just perhaps like yourself, even though I know you're not exactly from Austin originally. Yeah.
Oh, I'm but not far away. I grew up in Burnet.
That's right.
Darn it,
That's
Burnet.
right. That's right.
Burnet is 52 miles away.
That's part of the greater Austin area now, I'd say.
As a kid growing up there with my grandmother, I grew up there until 12 years old. My parents moved me to Washington State, but in those 10 or 12 years, again, I had an array of great experiences and that taught me, even as a youngster, how to do things and make decisions. And so it was a good learning curve in itself.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Jim, we're coming up on a little bit of a deadline here, a time crunch. So I think we maybe could wrap things up here, but just any parting thoughts that you want to leave us with about sound curves or any of the other things we talked about today?
Well, sound curves, if you're a music person, I would strongly recommend that you take a good look at sound curves.
By the way, if you're going to bring products to the market, where do you have a plan yet where people might be able to buy them? Well,
it turns out that we're going to start online.
Okay.
And we're also looking at a couple of, our goal is to sell in the Texas, Central Texas, major cities of Texas region in the beginning.
Right.
Before we start expanding out globally and nationally. So we're starting centralized right here. And we expect to have a couple of locations where one can go in and test the earplug. One of the problems with these things, if you go to a store to buy them, you can't open them.
Right.
You can't try them. And so we would set up a situation where people can go try it.
That's great.
Sounds like that's the way they're sold.
Yeah, so that we'll have a website up in the show notes. So we're here to promote investing in sound curves, but we may as well let people know where they could buy the product as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Actually, I've put this product above the word fantastic. I determined it's fantabulous.
Oh, cool.
Fantabulous.
It's fantabulous.
Yeah. It's been great to be with you this morning.
Well, thank you, Jim.
Thanks for your time.
We hope to have more occasions to be with you and hear more about all the things you're working on. And so just to wrap things up, everybody, this is a presentation of Alt Investing Made Easy of Real Advisors, LLC, which is an investment advisor. We want everybody to know that this doesn't constitute investment advice. We can only make investment advice if we actually have an actual investment advisory agreement with our audience, but we can speak to Jim's integrity. Obviously, he's had an incredibly rich history working on high-tech problems and coming up with great solutions and making money in the process. So, Jim, we're really grateful for you to be with us, and we look forward to talking with you more in the future.
Thank you so much. I look forward to the next time.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jim. I echo everything Roland said, and we appreciate you taking the time you have so far to spend time with us. So,
Karen, Roland, thank you.
To everyone out there, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this webcast, please like and subscribe to Alt Investing Made Easy, and we'll see you next time.
Remember, everyone, take aim with your alternative investing strategy.
See you soon.
Yes. If you believe it, you can make it happen.
I love it.
Can we add that?